Do you think it's harder to raise kids today than it was 30 years ago? And if you do you think media and technology have contributed to those challenges?
Yeah, I think there are challenges in every generation. I think it is more difficult today. I think kids in society is sort of expecting children to be older than their years from the get-go. I think technology is a bit of a double-edged sword. It's a great tool for learning. There are iPads now in schools and smart boards, and kids are really technology savvy at a very young age, and it can be a very good tool for that. But it needs to be monitored, it needs to be used appropriately, and that can be a real challenge and a lot of peer pressure for them as well.
I think every generation thinks they face the biggest challenges, and I really just don't believe that's true. I think there are different types of challenges.
From my point of view, I think the burden on parents today is enormous. And I give them all the credit in the world for those who are really trying to bring up their children in a moral way, because ultimately it's by their example. And today it's hard to give example with so many pressures around them.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, granted, I was a child 30 years ago, so I have this debate with my parents all the time. Was it, what was easier, what was difficult? I think, unfortunately, in the U.S. culture, we're a schedule right now that's very overscheduled at a young age. And so I think that's a factor that's different than 30 years ago. Children are involved in activities very young and encouraged very young to do activities and almost choose which ones. Versus be exposed to many different things. So I think parents, that's a struggle for parents, overscheduled. Also, two working families right now is more common than 30 years ago. I'm a working parent, so is my husband. So I think parents have to really pick and choose how they're spending their time outside of school, outside of work, and in their community, and juggle then religion, athletics, the arts, socialization, all those pieces that are important. So I think that's a challenge that maybe wasn't as prevalent 30 years ago.
Today, because there are so many different venues to receive information on your cell phone, your iPad, everybody's got it with them all the time, that there is so much information out there. And I do believe, we just, at home, for example, my 8-year-old, we just had to go in and put in all these parent controls on the computer because she was drifting in to one spot to get music, and next thing she's downloading this, downloading that, and she's out there looking at things she shouldn't be looking at. So as parents, I think you have to be on top of it, where my parents were, it's like you're out in the street playing, and then you come back in when the lights come on, and end of story. I think there's more out there today, and it's a lot harder to control it.
I definitely think it's harder to raise kids. I don't have any, but from what I observed as working with children is that there is a lot of technology, and that can take away from your family life. And also, two parents are working these days. I grew up in a household where both of my parents were working all the time, and so it's hard to really have your family center around your faith when you have so many distractions.